Greetings, Whovians, and welcome to Timey Wimey Review. Episodes 3 and 4 of the new Doctor Who spin-off, The War Between the Land and the Sea, was broadcast recently on BBC One and BBC iPlayer. And what I'm really liking is lots of positivity from this spin-off from fans and critics alike. So can it maintain this momentum? Well, please hit the subscribe button. That will really help out this channel as I try to reach 1,000 subscribers by the end of 2025. We're very, very close, so thank you so much for all the support that you've given me so far, and any other support would be greatly received. But let's have a spoiler talk chat for parts 3 and 4 of The War Between the Land and the Sea. Yes, this video will contain spoilers. You have been warned. So let's continue where we left off, where Barclay and the rest of the team, led by Colonel Pierce, are going to the home turf of the Aquakind, the Homo Acreans, the Sea Devils, whatever you want to call them. So yeah, they're going to be heading to their base to continue the sort of peace treaty negotiations. And yeah, what I felt that these two episodes really did well was adding the tension to what's going on in this story. Barclay and the rest of the team, they had to go through a series of tests to basically sort of train for being put into the pressures of the depths. They are just going deeper into the sea, probably where no man has gone before. So it's like basically 5 miles deep into the surface. So yeah, you imagine all that pressure on you. And yeah, there was quite a few in this crew, including Ted Campbell. He was another sort of part of this negotiating team, with of course Barclay being the ambassador. Really well directed by Euros Lynn here, and with the sort of camera just kept going around all the different faces, and they're all sort of starting to sort of crack under the pressure, and you can just hear sort of like the pressure from outside. The spherical diving pod that they're using, and yeah, Ted was the first to crack. He's like, oh my god, what's going on? We're gonna die. I can feel water on me. And Barclay saying, look, it's the pressure, it's the condensation. We read this in the health and safety guide. Chill out, man. So again, Barclay, I've really enjoyed Russell Tovey's performance as Barclay, and yeah, really enjoying the character. Again, he's definitely still a fish out of water, but he's one of the good guys, isn't he? He's the one that's sort of the hope for humanity from this average person, or from the outside world, these average people. Because meanwhile, we had Kate Lethbridge Stewart having the Cobra meeting with the Prime Minister, and we had the American Secretary Defense guy. We had the French sort of, I think she was like French military of defense as well, and basically they're all warmongering. They are hungry for war, apart from Kate and this other person that was like, no, we should be negotiating for peace. This is the best option all round, and everyone else is just basically denying this. So you can tell that Kate is under a lot of pressure, and there's some really good moments here between Kate and Colonel Ibrahim. And I wish there was more of this, really. I wish there was a lot more. This is kind of what I wanted from this spin-off, or maybe they should have, in hindsight, explored this more on their time in Doctor Who, because obviously we've got this love interest between the two, and they're keeping it secret from all the officers and units. And Colonel Ibrahim basically is seeing that Kate is under a lot of pressure. She's just basically ready to break down. Again, wonderfully portrayed by Gemma Redgrave. This is a person that is just going to crack at any moment. It's just going to be that one final thing that's going to tip her over the edge. She's just been not fighting as such, but just again all the things that she's had to deal with. She's feeling the pressure, and this is it. And Colonel Ibrahim's like, look, I've seen this happen to lots of people before, and it's happening to you now. You need to rest, you need to relax. There's nothing you can do whilst Barkley and everyone is going underwater and traveling down to meet the base of the aqua kind. You need to rest, and yeah, she just can't shut off. I don't think she hadn't shut off from unit mode for a long, long time. And yeah, I think Gemma Redgrave's doing a really good performance for conveying this kind of side of Kate's character. And I'm glad, if anything, we're getting lots of Kate, a different side to Kate, because I feel like as much as Kate, she's been in Doctor Who for what, 11 years now, maybe more. There's not been much for from the character itself. I think Gemma has done a great job with all the material that she's been given, but yeah, we're definitely craving more. On the whole, from episodes 3 and 4, we are really just ramping up the tension, and the dialogue that was going on in these two episodes, again, on the whole, were quite gripping. And yeah, you got the key players that are just basically train wrecking humanity with like the American soldier. I think he's a bit on the fence. He is very much military war minded, but we definitely have some villains in the midst, like the French ambassador, that businessman. I'm so sorry that I haven't remember the names of them. But we've got the businessman that's clearly doing this for his own money and has lined the pockets of the prime minister, and obviously helped in his campaign to get him to well, basically become prime minister. So we kind of got all that at play, where in reality they shouldn't matter. It should be to deal with basically Barkley and Salt. They're the two that has the power, but at the moment it ain't happening. Before I move on, I'll just have to say there was a couple of sort of clunky bits of dialogue that I picked up. I think the main one was, and I saw this on like either Doctor YouTube channel or Facebook, and it was of Colonel Pierce saying, "There was an old saying, we could be heroes. Let's go and be heroes." It's something along those lines. It just reminded me of Trigger from Only Fools and Horses, when he when he was a road sweeper saying, "There's an old saying in our sweeping business: look after your broom." And that was it. It was just kind of like a line that didn't go anywhere. It just, I know it was like a big pep talk from Colonel Pierce, but yeah, with a distinct voice like that, I think they could have had something else. I was expecting him to finish off the lyrics to David Bowie, "We Could Be Heroes" or something. That's where I was thinking he was going with that, but no, just to say, "We could be heroes." All right, let's get back to work. It just found it a bit odd for me. Let's get to the part where I imagine quite a lot of people who've watched this spin-off wants to talk about, and that was the big sort of cliffhanger for episode 3, where we had a bit of a clear out. So we had up on the surface, Kate and Colonel Ibrahim having a nice sort of tender moment. Again, just kind of Ibrahim just wanting Kate to sort of just rest and switch off. But Kate receives the phone call from Shirley Ann Bingham, and saying that she's been searching for to do some background checks for the people that was at the Cobra meeting. And then this keyword severance kept appearing at least 14 times in these coded messages that has been going back and forth with all these people from this meeting. And with that, we had like the sniper sort of laser being pointed at Kate's head, and Colonel Ibrahim dived in and rescued her and took the bullet. And this was something I was predicting. So if you saw my video either on Time Rhyme View TikTok or right here in the Time Rhyme View YouTube channel, I did put a prediction of a shock death. And the one I thought was on the top of the list for the shock of shockers, it's Colonel Ibrahim. He died. He's no more. How? Yeah, I'm kind of shocked that I got the prediction right. Yeah, it's sad for him to go. Again, could have had more from him. Don't get me wrong, Alexander Deverant has done a great job as Colonel Ibrahim, but I think just in hindsight, we should have had like this full-on journey of the sort of we kind of had Kate and Ibrahim facing death together in like say the last sort of two season finales for Doctor Who. So we had that, but it would have been great if we had a bit more sort of tension between the two as the sort of like both walking the tightrope of lovers and people in sort of like very sort of prominent official roles in unit, and maybe a bit of more butting heads between the two because they both got they both are right in their own respects. They both got their own points of view. So I really would have loved that. I think that would have really just added to the extra sort of shock and drama of the death of Colonel Ibrahim. But I think in terms of elevating Kate's character, on balance that kind of works, because again, we needed that one thing to sort of break Kate, and we've kind of got that with the death of poor Colonel Ibrahim. And not only that, though, we also had the death of Colonel Pierce as well. No more Colonel Pierce. Back at Aquakind, there was starting the sort of the talks and the delegate negotiations with Barclay and Salt, but Tim had other ideas. He had this gift of this little spear sort of ball, which was actually a bomb, which pretty much blew up a lot of Aquakind. A lot of them went for the death. So we had a bit of a good Salt account in this episode, or in these two episodes. But Salt managed to rescue Barclay by sort of like the kiss of life, and this sort of like she was just speeding up towards the surface, but kind of had like this, basically made this protective bubble for herself about snogging Barclay to send him to safety. So yeah, it all went down in episode 3. Salt's rescued Barclay, and her reward is just basically being locked inside a container. There was a video that went out basically using Salt's face, saying that she's basically declaring war on humankind, which was pretty much turned out to be a deep fake video. But we were also introduced to a new sort of Aqua ambassador in the form of Tide, who basically said that she pretty much abandoned her race to save Barclay, which is a big no-no in Aqua kind. So she's kind of a fugitive, and I felt that part of it was a little bit more convenient plot beats, really. So yeah, her, just sort of thinking back, her reward for saving Barclay was to be locked up by units, even though they know the video is pretty much deep fake. She basically has saved Barclay. So really, if anything, they should be protecting her and sort of, if anything, talk to Tide and go, we want her to continue the negotiations. This is what happened. We're sorry. We've dealt with them. This is where we need to go. But yeah, really, they've just turned it into some kind of crazed Romeo and Juliet on the run type of job, where Barclay sort of broke her out of this the big container, and now they've gone rogue. They've disappeared somewhere to try and figure out how best to sort of handle things. And that was kind of like the cliffhanger to episode 4, where we had unit soldiers basically and soldiers from the army all in like this stance on on London Bridge, with Barclay telling Salt to run. That's kind of where we kind of ended on the scene. I like the introduction of Tide, just going back to that as well. Really like the intro of Tide. He's a very interesting character, and I like the sort of the he basically sort of given the human race 5 years to basically clean up all the waste and the pollution, and and to come to all the terms that we had in episode 2. If not, basically we're gonna rust the planet for you. So yeah, they basically can control the moisture in the air, or they say they've got the technology to do that. So we will turn everything to rust, and basically your buildings, your systems will just crumble upon that. So that was a cool sort of concept, a scary concept to do. So yeah, I'm really liking how they've kind of elevated the Sea Devils from what we know from the classic era of Doctor Who to where we are now. Yeah, really liking the sort of, not only the design aspects of the Sea Devils, because again, from the prosthetic and makeup point of view, they look great. I thought the base looked really good, a little bit Avatar-esque, but I thought that how that was presented on screen looked really good. Apparently, there was a blink and miss it moment of some classic looking Sea Devils was in the sort of background. If you really squint, you can see them. But yeah, I'm liking all that presentation. But between Barclay and Salt, again, Gugu and Bath of Raw was really, really good. They had some nice little fun moments together. There was very much a Shape of Water sort of moment going off there, which I don't know. It doesn't bother me really, but I'm imagining a few people might tuned out to that one. I think I would have probably. I think a more platonic relationship would be more powerful than an actual sort of physical relationship that Salt and Barkley is starting to sort of explore a little bit. A little bit. Yeah, I think the platonic side of it would have been way more powerful. Yeah, if I'm going to do a big random prediction, I'm going to say we've got another death coming. And I think it could be Salt. I think it could be Salt. And if I'm going to go random, killed by Kate. Kate's going to do it. I don't know why. Don't know how it's all going to work out. That's my crazy prediction. You let me know your predictions in the comments. Overall, I'm going to give parts 3 and 4 of The War Between the Land and the Sea the TARDIS rating of 7.5 out of 10. I was expecting it to kind of go like maybe, like I was saying in the last video, we've got like 2 episodes where we're kind of on the aqua kind side, and then probably parts 3 and 4 were on the human race side. But I don't really see that as much. I think it's more been the humans are the idiots in this scenario, and yeah, I think there's rightly so. But if you feel different, again, let me know in the comments. But overall, I think these 2 episodes really did a good job of ramping up the tension. I thought, again, it still looks gorgeous as always. Really, the whole look of this spin-off as well. Again, like I said, with Aquakine, that base that we saw with Barclay and the rest of the gang, that was a really cool scene to have. We had some brilliant dialogue, some clunky dialogue, some great sort of scenes, and some shockers as well. Some shock endings and twists as well. I didn't feel like a lot of people in the comments, I thought, oh my God, was not expecting that from the death of Colonel Ibrahim. I did. I don't know whether it's because I have watched Torchwood Children of Earth recently, and there is definitely some similarities in terms of just how it's presented, like the shock death of Colonel Ibrahim, very similar to Yanto. But maybe I think Yanto had a bit more emotional weight. The chats in the Cobra meeting again seemed very similar to the chats that the Prime Minister was having when they were forced to try and work out how to get rid of, how to nominate the quarter of a population of the children from Torchwood. Again, very similar sort of beats. I do think that the convenient plot device of Barclay and Salt being on the run, I thought that was a bit sort of, too sort of convenient for me. I think that could have been maybe presented a bit better. But on the whole, I'm still intrigued. Looking forward to the finale. Fingers crossed it's a blooming good finale. We've had some, let's say, interesting or controversial finales from Russell T Davies for the past 2 seasons of Doctor Who. So I'm hoping him and Pete Matai manage to pull something out the bag. I always want them to pull something out the bag and go home swinging. So I hope they do manage to do this, because on the whole, I think there should have been another season of this. Another, I hope there's a sequel. Because I think this uh this presentation could have easily, can be explored even further. So I hope we do get that. But all hinges on next week's finale. What did you think to episodes 3 and 4 of The War Between the Land and the Sea? Was you surprised with the shock endings and twists? Let me know in the comments. Thank you very much for watching this video. I hope you've enjoyed this spoiler talk review. If you have, please like, share and subscribe. Hit the cloister bell for more notifications. Come say hello and follow me on Facebook and X. And do check out my other fantastic Doctor Who related content on Timey Wimey Review TikTok. And of course right here on the Timey Wimey Review YouTube channel. Thank you as always for your support. Until we meet again.